Ms. Faryal Gohar, who has done tremendous work for animals and as we all know about it, but now she will share some of her remarks that would hopefully put us in the right direction for animal rights, environmental rights, and environment happening. We thank you so much for animals.
Thank you, Ayeza. Thank you all for being here. इतने माइक्स रख देते हैं ना, माइकल जैक्सन से ज्यादा हैं मेरे लैपटॉप के लिए जगह ही नहीं। I'm going to start with addressing something that was said here just a short while ago about fairy tales and stories and literature and history, which has always referred to our relationship with animals. So I'm happy to tell you that actually my latest novel, my most recent publication, is exactly that. It is spoken in the voice of animals. And each chapter of the characters who live on a place called Zameen is preceded by a prologue by the spirits of animals that have been hunted for millennia. And that place is called Zameen. So I'm going to start with what I feel is the theme of what I want to say. There was nothing in the world, our world, which was not connected to everything that existed, that had ever been created, even before the Creator had appeared on his horse and brought light and warmth to all of us. We knew that every act would beget another one. Like the arrows that sped towards us, there was a path which every act followed. There was a destination. There was no end to the act, an endless circle looping around all those who lived within it. Let us say that if one of us is hunted and that one falls, that would be the end of a child or a mother, eyes glazed over with loss. That act would lead to another one, the hunter dragging his prey away, the hunter skinning the creature, the hunter's wife curing the hide that had covered the flesh which the hunter's children will consume, growing to be like their fathers and mothers, and continuing that one act which led to the other, which made them the hunters and us the hunted. But who was to say then that if all of this death and fear and conquest was all the result of one act, then how was it that we were not all connected by the same rope which tied us together, all living creatures, our skins clothing our conquerors, our flesh feeding them? How was it then that those who hunted us did not see their own image in our eyes when they slashed our throats and pierced our hearts with the arrows they fashioned from the branches of the trees that gave them shade in summer and firewood in winter? How was it that they saw themselves as better than us when they were nothing but bits and pieces of us, cut up and put together, their hats, the wool of the goat, their shoes, the skin of the ibex? It was said a short while ago that the measure of a society's humanity is how it treats the vulnerable. And it was also said that animals form the most vulnerable group. I will take this further and examine this measure by extending society's treatment to all living things. Our trees, our meadows, our farmlands, the rivers, our lakes, glaciers, mangroves, swamplands, the ocean into which our rivers flow. How have we treated all this? How have we treated the world within which all life exists? How have we treated our home, this planet, this beautiful globe suffering in the vast infinity of indifference? How have we treated each other? Do we dare look into the eyes of the less powerful, the poor, the neglected? the abused, whether these are the eyes of humans or animals? Do we dare to look deep into those eyes, fearing that we shall see only a reflection of ourselves, staring back at ourselves, us, the perpetrator of abuse and violence, the cause of the destruction of vital ecosystems which cradle life in a delicate balance intended to honor, respect, and nurture all life? And when we see ourselves reflected back, do we recognize the deep abyss into which we have fallen, unseen, unknown, insensitive to the damage that we have done to the world around us, to the creatures living within it, indeed, the damage we have done to humanity? After all, are we not a part of the same system which enables us to live the cycles of day and night, to feel the touch of rain on our skin, to welcome the breeze in summer, to cherish the warmth of the sun in winter? Are we not one with all creation, with the universe? In fact, with that which is beyond, which is promised, and perhaps unattainable, unless we find within ourselves the core of what it means to be human and humane. For many years, I have worked in and traveled to remote regions of Pakistan, from the highest peaks of the Karakoram and Siachen to the farthest delta of Katy Bandar at the shores of the Indian Ocean. I have seen what we have done to the earth in the name of so-called progress, how we have destroyed our forests, polluted our water resources, depleted the soil of vital nutrients, indeed, converting precious arable land into hideous, humongous, senseless housing societies. I have worked with communities displaced from their homes due to drought, or floods, or war. I have seen the inequities of wealth, the oppression of the powerless by the powerful, the sheer injustice of systems of asset ownership which allows for a minute 1% of this country's population to own 10 times more wealth than the bottom 70%. I have seen the cruelty towards both humans and animals, and I see these as deeply intertwined, for violence is the same, whoever it is intended to violate. Violence is intended to create a dynamic of dominance and submission. It intends to break not just the bones of the abused, but also the spirit.
It is a mechanism through which we, as humans, as so-called Ashraful, exercise control over our world. A world which came into being for a purpose. And for that purpose, ladies and gentlemen, that purpose is not a destructive one. We, as humans, as the so-called highest form of life in our universe, were meant to act with kindness towards each other and towards the less powerful, whether that is children, the poor, or an animal. Instead, we have exercised violence as a means of control over children, women, the poor, and of course, animals, making us all powerful, giving us the illusion of being in control. But are we in control? Are we in control of our destinies? Can we say in all honesty that we have shaped a better world for ourselves, for our children, for all living creatures, for life itself? We have only to look at war zones around the world. We cannot escape the destruction of large parts of occupied Palestine. And we only have to look at the violent violence of Los Angeles to know that we have failed to control our greed, our basest instincts to oppress, abuse, subjugate, and destroy, all the while aggrandizing ourselves with material wealth, massive homes, gas-guzzling vehicles, the trinkets and toys of the rich, which burn holes into the ozone layer, which destroy biodiversity, ultimately destroying us. What are the lessons we have learned over time? What have we learned during the past 2 days at this important conference? In essence, we have come to understand that all things, all phenomena are interconnected, that synergies between all living things exist in order to benefit each other and the universe of which we are a part. Whether we talk about food systems, or about the advancement of animal and environmental literacy, or about animal rights to safety and freedom, we are essentially talking about the same things. We are talking about the recognition of all living creatures as being legitimate inhabitants of this earth. We are suggesting that we need not compete for resources if we were only to share our need, if we were to desist from waste, if we were to utilize our natural resources with responsibility. There will be no need to fear hunger if we were to ensure that we check under the greed. There would be no need to oppress and harm and destroy another if we were to recognize ourselves in their eyes. Can you imagine a world where all coexisted in harmony, humans with humans, animals with animals, and humans with animals? Can we not imagine a world which is kinder, more just, more generous? Can we not learn to tread softly on the earth so that it may live and not die under the burden of our excesses? Let me share one lasting image which I should carry with me as long as I have memory to draw upon. Last month, while I was shooting a film in interior Sindh, unsustainable, low-cost, zero-carbon, zero-donor, and zero-waste housing for flood victims, I spent time in a small Hindu village at the edge of the valley. Most of the people living there were displaced by the drought in Nagarpatka some years ago. And in their new home, they suffered displacement once again by the floods of 2022. I lived in the village during the time of the filming and befriended the women and children who were taken to their para to meet their families. At one such para, the family consisted of the grandparents, parents, uncles, aunts, several children, and 7 puppies whose mother had a broken leg and couldn't feed the puppies. I would bring a bread and bar to my breakfast to the puppies every morning, soaking my paratha in some milk from the malnourished but still loved carrier. The puppies would gather to wait for me and then feed once I offered the food to them. And in feeding them, I was feeding my soul. It's something that I've done almost every day of my life since the time that I could walk. But this time, there was something different in my effort to assuage the hunger of these little puppies. This time, the 3 toddlers, the younger children of this family, who have sheltered the puppies, this time, the little children, barely able to walk, had found their way to the platter and placed on the ground, and making space for themselves between the puppies. The children also ate, assuaging their hunger. I watched this with tears in my eyes. And then I looked around this village and I saw the vast sugarcane crops belonging to the president of this country. The mothers of these little children had been cutting the sugarcane since 5 a.m. that morning for a small pittance, sometimes 200 shillings a day. They had not yet returned to their homes and their children. Their babies, like the pups of the dog with the broken leg, were hungry, while all around them was the wealth of sugar barons who believe that they are not accountable for the inhuman conditions in which their parties live. This, ladies and gentlemen, is how all things are connected. Hunger is connected to greed and excess. Justice is connected to kindness and compassion. We have to decide here and now whether we will take the path of greed leading to hunger and deprivation, or the path of justice leading to equity and peace. It is a choice for each of us to make. For each of us counts in this journey to build a better world for all, including the 3 young ladies in the classes, and men are probably paying attention now. In closing, I would like you to commend the amazing efforts of the organizers, the PIAERC in challenging the rules, and the sponsors who enabled all of us to come together for this vital discussion. I am deeply impressed with the passion that young people are now bringing to this cause, and I am proud of feeling that with all of you leading up, we can all celebrate the humane back